I mean, it's the same thing that Robert Scoville told me. If you've got a passion and you truly want to do it, and I think that's the key. You have to truly want to do it. If there's a part of you that isn't fully committed to it, then that's the part of you that will stop you from getting there. But if you've got a passion, you truly want to get after it, the key is to just keep pushing forward. You have to. It's going to suck. You're going to drive for Uber while working some job that you don't want to do. And I've been there. You have to keep going because the second you stop is the second that you'll never get there. So if you truly got a passion, you truly want to get after it, take small steps. Even, it may seem pointless, but making phone calls, sending emails, even if you don't think you'll ever get a response, just send that email, make that phone call, leave that voicemail, and just truly keep pushing. And if your work ethic shows it, one day someone will notice that, and then you'll go to the next step. And then you just keep doing the same thing. And it sucks. It takes a while. It's really hard. But if you keep after it, eventually, one day you'll get the phone call and you'll land your first job or, in your area of passion. And then from there, hopefully it'll be easier to move up.
Welcome to Get After It. My name is John Kay, and I am a professional musician, record producer, and lifestyle entrepreneur. In each episode of Get After It, I talk with an inspiring person with a powerful message to help you discover how to realize your true potential and become your most authentic self through positive intention and purposeful action. I'm truly grateful to those of you listening right now. So without further ado, let's get after it. All right. My guest today has over a decade of experience in audio engineering and is currently the front-of-house engineer and tour manager for I Prevail, an American metalcore band from Detroit. Ladies and gentlemen, my good friend, Josh Sobeck. Hey, buddy.
Hey, thanks.
I know it's weird to go into like radio mode, but
it is. It is.
Since the last time we hung out, you had some changes. You got married and got a house and all this stuff. I haven't really hung out with you in a couple of years. I think the last time we hung out was when we went to Five Guys that one time.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years. I think the last time I was still living with my parents here in Livonia.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
It's funny how that works.
Sure is. I've moved a couple times since, married, bought a house, seen the world a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What part beyond? I know we're going to get to your touring and stuff.
Sure.
But you just got back from Australia.
Yes.
Did you hold a koala?
Unfortunately, I did not hold a koala.
So this is over. Interview's canceled. Okay. Either way, but how was it?
It was the most beautiful place in the world I've ever visited.
Really?
I would absolutely 100% retire there.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I absolutely would.
Retire to Australia. All right.
Why not?
Why not anything?
Right?
Absolutely. Of course.
Wasn't that your thing? Go retire, buy an island in the Greek Mediterranean?
Wow, you remembered that.
I remember that.
Wow. I can't believe you remembered that. I have family that doesn't even know that that's my thing. Yes, I want to buy an island off the coast of Greece where the weather is always 72 degrees.
Yep.
And a slight chance of rain.
Exactly.
That's all there is to it. That's awesome. All right. So how often are you on the road now then?
I mean, largely that's dictated by the band's album cycles.
Okay.
They just released Lifeline's first full-length record on Fearless Records.
Okay.
That came out at the end of October.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been on the road pretty nonstop since then, sans the month of January this year.
Yeah, I see you posting all the time, and it's always sold out.
Things are well right now. Things are going very well. I mean, now it's crazy mode because we're at the beginning of an album cycle with a growing band.
Okay.
The goal, as early as next year, hopefully, would be to tour from Memorial Day to Labor Day, and then a little bit after there, and take the winters off.
Just the whole summer.
Take summer and fall, and take the winters off. Right now, this year we'll probably be on the road somewhere between 8 and 10 months of this year.
It's awesome. It's fun.
It's fun, that's for sure. It's always an adventure.
What do you like most about it right now?
I mean, I think what I like most has been the same as it was 2 years ago when we started this whole thing. There's something magical about waking up in a new city every morning. Going, there's something magical about going to bed in Vegas and waking up in San Francisco. That never gets old to me.
Sweet.
It's just the magic of travel.
Awesome.
If you will.
Awesome. And you're on this maybe my ignorance, but you're on a full bus and everything. And
for the most part, the last 2 years have been split between a full-size bus and a bandwagon, which is, most people probably don't know, somewhere between an RV and a full-size tour bus.
Okay.
It's the size of an RV, but it has the tour bus bunks and the kitchen and the little shower and everything.
Gotcha. Okay, so, right on. Yeah. Cool. Very cool. Yeah. So you say when we started this, so you were with I Prevail from the beginning?
Yeah. I was the very first crew member they ever hired.
Okay. Why? What led to we're going to get through a bunch of your story.
Sure.
But what was it that caused them to say, Josh Sobeck, us, let's do it?
I met them through a mutual friend, BJ Perry.
Right on.
I'm sure
Wall of Sound Studio.
Yes. Another amazing,
very bold name to choose for your studio. Very bold. You're talking about Wall of Sound. That's what everyone wants. Howard Spector. All that. It's pretty bold.
But BJ achieves it. So he actually, and just knowing him through the same circle that know him, just the circle of Detroit creatives and producers, and he put out a Facebook post that said, "Hey, I've got a client that needs a touring front of house engineer, tour manager, yada yada. Contact me." And so I emailed him, and he looked at my resume and my cover letter and said, "Yeah, this looks right. Let me forward you to these guys." And they called me, and since they're local, I'm local. We met up for dinner one night, and we just kind of talked, and we all thought that it would be an amazing fit. And things were happening so fast for them at that time. That was their Taylor Swift cover of Blank Space.
Yeah, it's something that helped them hit pretty.
Just come out within I think a month before I met them. So I met them when that was kind of, the peak of the quick rise, where it went from, 1 million to 4 million in a couple days.
Jeez, 1 million what, plays on YouTube or
yes,
whatever? Okay.
Yes. And so we met and just talked, and it felt, it's like when a new guy joins the band. You meet, you talk, you kind of try things out for a little bit, see if it's going to be a good fit, and that's what we did. And, we thought that it felt right, and so we moved forward, and here we are 2 years later.
Right. What if you had to nail it down to what felt right? What was the binding spark or whatever? What was the...
Gosh. Probably just I think it was the work ethics were so aligned. It was, I had always wanted, me, I'd always wanted to do that my entire life. And they had put, 2 years on the back end that no one else saw before that cover came out, of just hard, dedicated, everyday work, just grinding, going for it. And it was just sort of an aligning of visions. We had both always wanted to do this, and now we both had this kind of empty road in front of us where the path was sort of up to us as far as, how far it went. And we both just kind of met in the middle and said, hey, we both really want to do this. I think this could be a really good fit.
Excellent. You talk about aligning visions. I think that's critical to the point when, to that point when I was piecing together the people who I ultimately wanted to start rehearsing as a band with, all the guys I was talking about before we started talking. It's funny you mentioned. I still have it sitting here. It's a vision manifesto.
Nice.
And it's 12 pages long. And before we even played a note together, we all sat around the fire pit outside and played popcorn. Remember playing popcorn when you were in school?
Yeah.
We played popcorn. We all read it. And we all got on the same page. And it was all about aligning the vision and making sure, hey, this is where the bus is going to be going. Do you want to be on this bus with these other people doing it? So
that's anything creative you do, that's got to be the first thing that you start with.
When did you learn that? Because I've done a lot of creative things for years, and it's only within the last year and a half that I've learned that the vision has to be clarified and agreed upon by everyone in the group. Otherwise, it will fail. Talent doesn't matter.
I think I learned that a couple years ago, right around the time that I Prevail was starting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. And what caused you to finally have that epiphany in regard to vision?
Ironically enough, it was when I was helping start a church.
Okay.
I was bouncing because I did church audio for a while.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, to that point, why don't you? Because you and I both attended the same audio engineering school.
Yep.
We'll get to that, but talk about after graduating from audio school.
Mm-hmm.
What was the first job after you graduated, and then what led you down the path towards now tour managing and running sound for I Prevail?
It's been a weird, kind of convoluted path.
All right. We got time.
So immediately after graduating from Crass, I was offered a full-time salaried benefited position at Northridge Church in Plymouth. There I wasn't necessarily doing so much directly audio things. It's just kind of overall, technical AV sort of stuff. And that was a great first step that helped get me off the ground. It is as a functioning employed member of society.
Sure. It gave you a steady income.
It gave me a steady income. It was in the, production field of sorts.
So it was related to what you really wanted.
It was related to what I really wanted to do. It wasn't really what I wanted to do, but it was, I was 18, 19, it was the right first step.
Yeah.
And from there, after a period of time, I got the sense that, I knew this wasn't what I wanted to do long term, and I started, looking at other options, and ultimately I left that job and just kind of started the freelance thing.
And you were living with your folks.
Yeah, I was living with my parents. I said, you know what, I don't have a lot to lose right now. I'm not married. I'm living at home, and there really isn't a lot of risk involved in this decision, and knowing that I wasn't going to be in this job long term, I said, while I have the comfort and the low risk factor, let's walk away from this and let's start this freelance thing. And so I did, starting at the Crowfoot in Pontiac with Ryan Thomas, starting at St. Andrews Hall in Detroit,
and Malushnik, Eric. Who did you work with at St. Andrews?
Andrew Schuster was the production manager
Andy,
when I was there. Yeah, Andy. I think he's in Indianapolis now, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's moved a couple times. So Crowfoot, St. Andrews, just going to different churches around the area, since I had already had those connections, just doing, the Sunday gig and then doing other things during the week. And even doing a little bit of studio work here and there. Just kind of wandering around the Metro Detroit area, doing all this freelance stuff.
Have mics will travel.
Exactly. Have mics will have console will travel.
Have console will travel. Sure.
Which is really still what it is. Have mics and console will get on a bus and
right on.
Ultimately, the freelance thing actually ended for a hot minute. Where I got a job at Kensington Church over in Troy. A couple of the Northridge team that had also left Northridge at that point was going to start a new church up in Shelby Township.
For Kensington.
Kensington campus location.
I drive for Uber and Lyft. And I dropped a rider off at Kensington the other day.
Nice.
The same day that you and I were talking about setting this up. It's kind of funny. Anyway, go ahead.
That is funny. So some of the Northridge team that I used to work with said, hey, we're starting this new church campus, and we would love to help you, or to have you help us, get the technical aspect, production aspect of it off the ground.
Sweet.
And so I was a part of that. And that was that fall of 2014. And that was a huge amount of fun. I loved working with that team. It was fun to work with some of the same people again, several years later. Because there's just intrinsically something rewarding about working with a group of people that you've got a history with.
Yeah,
it's so much
doing
more
it
fun.
now.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's funny how that works.
Yeah, it's so much more fun and so much more rewarding.
Right on.
And so it was fun to start that with them, and that group of people. That was really the group of people that taught me the value of vision.
Okay.
Josh Eisenhart, who was the founder, the lead guy, still is the lead guy at that particular church campus. It's just such a knowledgeable, full of wisdom kind of guy, where he's the one that takes the 42,000 foot view every time, and always takes us back and says, hey, how does this go back to the vision? Where are we going? What are we doing? And is that really steering us down the road that we want to go down? And if not, what do we need to correct? So that team, that Shelby campus team, is really where I got that vision first. Everything else follows it.
Right on. And that was fall of 2014.
That was fall of 2014, and then I Prevail started in February of 2015. So I was with them for just about 6 months up in the Shelby team, and then left that to start the whole I Prevail train.
Right on.
And
which you've been on since.
Which I've been on ever since. Took a short break to get married and do the honeymoon.
Right.
And ended up being a little bit of a longer break because that was at the same time they were taking a break between album cycles. So
okay.
Actually kind of worked out that I got some extended time at home right after the wedding.
That's cool. And to the point where you didn't have to do anything in the meantime? Like,
I mean, during that break and still during any breaks when we're not on the road, I still do the full-time freelance bit around the area.
Right.
Kensington has 8 locations. They utilize me between different locations on Sunday mornings to help their audio teams out. I still do. It's not very often anymore, but I still technically do Crowfoot gigs, St. Andrews gigs.
Sure.
Just freelance local audio work.
Right on. But now as tour manager versus just being I hate it saying it, but the sound guy.
Right.
But being a tour manager, not only do you have more responsibility, are you because you've been with them for a hot minute now, are you more entrenched in their success overall as a group? Because
absolutely, and I should take a second to clarify. Technically, as of this year, I'm not tour manager. Technically, it's just production manager.
Oh, okay, right.
We are fortunate enough to have grown to the point where we can, delineate separate tour manager versus production manager,
Sweet.
Which is fun.
Yeah.
I get to focus on, which I took the gig because I wanted to do touring front of house. I learned to tour manage by necessity to get the gig.
Sure.
So now it's actually nice that the band has grown to a point where they can hire more people, and I'm actually doing more of only what I want to do. Which is awesome.
Right on, man. All right. Well, that's where you're at now. Take us back. I kind of know some of the history, but the people listening don't.
Right.
Where'd you grow up? Socioeconomic conditions.
Sure.
What did mom and dad do? What was school like? All that stuff. Take us up to the point where you decided that you wanted to become a musician.
Yeah. Which should be a fun little trip down memory lane for some of your story as well.
Yeah.
So born and raised right here in Livonia.
Mm-hmm.
Lived in the same house my whole life, which I was actually just talking about with my wife last night. Just the differences in some of how we do things as a being married. She moved. This is the house we're living in now. I think is her 12th house she's lived in.
Yeah.
In 23 years, and this is my 3rd house. So
right on.
So yeah, Livonia. Let's see, my mom stayed at home with us the whole time. She
Who's
was
us?
Mom, dad, me, and my sister.
Okay.
Yeah. She stopped working when I was born. She was a secretary in accounting and stopped working when I was born to be a full-time mom, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for doing that, Mom. Made a big difference. My dad has always worked in the management side of automotive manufacturing.
Okay.
So the way I always explained it growing up was his company makes the stuff that makes the cars.
Sure.
So they build the assembly lines. They build all the big industrial machines that actually then build the cars.
Sure. Okay.
So he's always been in management position for, that business one way or another. Mm-hmm. He's moved around in a couple companies in the area. But he still does that today.
Right on.
So
stable is an easy word to
yes.
to use. Okay.
My childhood was the epitome of your stereotypical Metro Detroit middle class white suburbs.
Sure. Right on.
And I mean I'm very thankful for that. I don't think that going back to all the the calculated risks I took after college, I couldn't have taken all of those risks had that stable home background not been there.
Okay.
So I'm definitely very thankful for that.
It's funny when we get to we'll get to it. Never mind.
Yeah.
So
I should keep track of the number of times you've said that.
Yeah, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. What? So if home was great, what was school like?
Well, I started going to a Catholic grade school in kindergarten, and very quickly decided that wasn't for me.
You decided?
I decided.
In kindergarten, you decided?
In 2nd grade, but yes.
Okay.
I then, my mom thought it might be a good idea to get me tested for Livonia's Webster academically talented program, which I did get tested for and ultimately accepted into that program, which is actually where I met Terry, my wife, in third grade.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yes. First day of third grade, I met my current wife.
That's crazy.
Yep. However, that was, I think, 15 years ago or something like that.
Sure.
Yeah. So, crazy side note.
That's pretty cool.
And then I went through Livonia schools, third grade, all the way through the end of high school.
So you went Webster, then Frost.
Webster and then
Churchill.
Frost and then Churchill. Yep. Staying, in the Webster to then the MACAP program at Frost for the upper track, and then decided towards the end of middle school that I was going to go back to the regular program in Churchill.
Okay.
And did that and didn't go for the.
What made you decide that?
I think it was around that time that I decided that I wasn't going to do a normal career path all the way back then.
Okay.
And I kind of knew and I don't know if I fully realized it, but I think I knew somewhere in the back of my mind that the, 4-year college, university, bachelor's degree for something technical, business related wasn't necessarily where I was going to head.
Okay.
And so I mean, we're talking 8th grade now, so I believe that's very close to when I met you. And
I think you met. I was thinking about this today before we got together.
Right,
I think that you met me when Mike brought you to a show at the Modern Exchange.
Yes,
I think that was the first time. I
was
feel like
right
you were like
around,
13 years old.
Yeah, which is right around when the first Bad on Fire album came out.
07.
Which is the end of 8th grade.
Wow, right on.
So
I was thinking about that, and I remember Mike a couple years later telling me, or he either told you or he told me, I wish I never would have introduced you to, because he's why? Because he's turned into a cocky prick. I was like, oh, okay. So anyway, no, that sounds about right. So okay, so you figured out in 8th grade that you weren't going down the normal route. Yeah. When did you start getting into music then? It had to have been before that.
Oh, long. I'll go back real quick.
Yeah.
I started playing piano in 1st grade.
Sweet. Okay. What made you pick up piano?
That was something that my grandma always, whenever, let's go to grandma's house. She had a piano, and I always loved hearing her play it, and I would always try to sit next to her and play along.
You sound just like me, dude. All right, sorry, go ahead.
But you knew that.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Okay.
No,
just the whole alike thing.
The tracking?
Yes, the tracking.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely.
And so, my mom bought me a little 64-key, non-touch sensitive keyboard for me to take lessons on in 1st grade.
Sure.
Then I ended up switching teachers to the Webster choir teacher in 3rd grade, where I took piano lessons for, probably 9 years with her.
I did not know that you played keys that much. Right on.
Yeah, sadly, I don't that much anymore. Actually, tomorrow morning, my childhood piano is moving to my new house.
Nice.
Which I'm very excited about.
Your grandma's?
No, the one that I grew up with in my parents' house.
Okay,
They're
right on.
very graciously sending that to my new house.
That's very cool.
So hoping that I'm going to be able to, on between tours, kind of pick it up again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah, so I did piano for 9 years, and that took me roughly through somewhere in middle school, I think. And then I think somewhere at the end of elementary school, so like 5th, 6th grade, I had that rebellious, preteen phase where I wanted to do rock and roll and learn how to play guitar.
Sure.
So I convinced my parents to get me a guitar for a birthday, talked to the school music teacher, got referred to Mike Race.
Okay.
Started lessons with him, which is how I met you.
Right.
And then, because it was I don't know if it was a requirement or not, but everyone at Webster was in the choir. Pretty much.
All right.
That was the thing. If you went to Webster Elementary, you sang in the choir. I didn't want to sing in the choir. And the only other option they gave me was they said, okay, well, if you're not going to sing on the choir risers, you're going to sit at the little Fender Passport sound system and operate the music for us and start and stop the CD and turn up the mics for the solos.
Okay.
And that's where it started in 6th grade.
Right on.
Because then when I got to Frost in 7th grade, it was the first week of school in 7th grade, and Principal Barry comes to my math class and says, hey, the the cafeteria sound system stopped working. We heard you might know something about it as a 7th grader to come and fix it. And so then I get to Churchill in 9th grade for high school, and I'm already on the stage crew in the auditorium, and it just goes on and on from there.
Yeah, you just one job or one task leads to the next task, and before you know it, you've accumulated enough knowledge that you're dangerous.
Exactly, and I think I had kind of the same revelation you did, where as I was learning guitar with Mike, I was meeting friends in the Frost band that could play drums and could play bass, and we came over and played really bad covers of Green Day songs, and I got this idea in my head that said, hey, I want to we need to record our music, and we're in middle school and high school and we can't afford recording time, so I said, well, I can do it, and so I went out and bought a Mackie Onyx board. Mm-hmm. And, we holed up in my parents' bedroom and we started recording really bad Green Day covers. And getting into audio was a mixture of not wanting to sing in the 6th grade choir and not wanting to pay for studio time to record my own band's music.
Right. Awesome.
So, yeah.
Awesome. So now, when did you figured out that a 4-year institution wasn't for you and that that path or what have you? When did you... Tell us about the time when you decided to forego college and you were going to go to the conservatory. Did you hear about the conservatory through me?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So
I thought you had heard about it before and then brought me in as like your consigliere to talk to your parents into it.
No, not at all. So the way it happened was I knew that sound and audio was what I wanted to do. And I knew that... I don't know if I knew that I needed to go to school or if that I knew that my parents wanted to see me go to some sort of school.
Yeah, I think that's a lot for a lot of people though too.
Yeah,
I feel like that, and
especially it's becoming more and more so. I feel like.
Why is it becoming more so? Okay, well, we're going to get to your to your path, but why do you think that is? That even after all the data is coming out and with how fast the world accelerates on a day-to-day basis, why are parents or authority figures, whatever you want to call them, why are they still pushing people into 4-year institutions and a massive amount of debt?
I think I don't have the perfect answer, but I think that it's a combination of two things. One, you're getting repeat where we're getting to a generation because my grandparents didn't go to college.
Sure.
One of my parents went to college. So I think as time goes on, you're getting more and more parents that went to college. Mm-hmm. And so they're forcing the same thing on their kids, maybe.
Sure.
And you're also getting more of a technical job market as technology grows. And I think you're getting more employers that want to see a 4-year degree, at least for the technical side of it. And you're getting parents that want their kids to be successful. And so they want to see their kids get these high-paying technical jobs. And so they're pushing them to an institution that they don't necessarily need to go to just because that's what they did.
You mentioned the high-paying. Is money just still the major motivating factor in all this? Because it's just... I don't know.
I hope not.
The older I get and the more I learn and the more I read and the more I study, the more that I found that, they always say, oh, do what you love and the money will follow. It's not necessarily. You got to do what you love, and what you love and what you do has to be good, and other people have to trade their hard-earned money for, you doing what you love. But I've seen a lot of people that have gone to college and get degrees and they get a high-paying job and they jump off bridges. Yeah. And I see a lot of people who live in Airbnbs and don't have a steady income, but they're emotionally and spiritually fulfilled. So
absolutely.
So it's... I always point people towards the book Mastery by Robert Greene. It's all about discovering your life's task and figuring out what you were put on this earth to do. Da Vinci didn't become Da Vinci because he went to college for 4 years and studied on how to do all the art. He studied cadavers and peeled them apart. No, seriously.
No, I know. I think you recommended that book to me about 7 years ago, and I never read it.
Oh my God, dude! And I was just, the first thought that just came to my head was not that you need it now, but I think everybody could stand to read it. If for anything, it validates beliefs that you have and reassures that you're on the right track.
Absolutely.
Or reminds you why you're doing what you're doing in the first place. That's one of the things it did for me.
Absolutely.
But anyway, so you felt like, okay, my parents want to see me go to school because I think that the best gift you can ever give your parent is to make them proud of you.
Absolutely.
So I understand where that motivation comes. Anyway.
Definitely, and to that fact, they've told me in the last 6 months that they couldn't be prouder.
Awesome.
My parents, came to our last hometown show just about a month ago in Grand Rapids. We sold out the Intersection. If you're familiar with
the big
that venue.
one,
yeah, the big one.
It's awesome. I played. Yep, played it.
Yeah, so
played it. Ran sound there, as a matter of fact.
Nice. Yeah. My favorite sounding room in the country, by the way.
Really?
Yes.
The Intersection.
Yes.
That big room.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
But see, now you sold it out. When it's half full, it's
different
a little
story.
cavernous.
I mean, any room is different.
So you know Chad well then? Chad Verway? No?
I don't know that he's there anymore.
Really? I thought he was still... Oh, either way. Whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
I think Ian Kettle is their tech guy now. Yeah, so we sold out the Intersection. Parents came, big confetti cannons and cryo CO2 jets, and it was
nice.
It was a kill. We did a music video shoot at the show. It was an amazing show.
Awesome.
And yeah, just to have my parents there for that, and have them congratulate me on everything. And there's a gold record hanging on my wall right now.
Really?
By the way, yes.
From I Prevail?
Yes, the blank space officially went gold.
That's awesome.
And they felt that I had done enough work with the band to deserve getting one of the records with them. So
that's righteous, man.
To Rick and Dane and the guys, thank you for that.
Congratulations, man. Good for you.
So it is amazing to have my parents be proud and in all that I have done. And I'd like to think I'm just getting started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not even 30 yet.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah.
Not even
anyways, to the point, I wanted to make them proud back then.
Right.
And so, yeah, I started researching, well, how can I go to college to please them and society at the time, I guess, and still do sound. And I found Full Sail online.
Mm-hmm.
And
a lot of those graduates work at Guitar Center.
Yeah.
A lot of them. I run into a lot of them.
Yep.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Yep. And I run into a lot of them at venues around the country.
Oh, right on. House guys?
Yeah.
Okay, right
they're
on.
They're not on the road.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I started talking to my parents about that, and they, okay, this is a school, and you can do what you want, but it's still a school, cool. And so they were like, well, go see what Mike Race thinks about it, because they trusted him, as someone who was instilling proper knowledge of music into my life.
Sure. Yeah.
And he was like, well, I don't know too much about, sound and audio schools and all that, but I have a friend who does. And that was the point where, I got referred to you and messaged you, I'm looking at Full Sail. And then I remember getting this giant diatribe from you about why I should go to Crass instead. And looked at it and validated your claims. And my parents said, well, it's a lot cheaper, so that's nice. Went out to Phoenix to do one of their open houses. With me and my two parents went out there, did the open house, toured the Tempe Gilbert area. I immediately fell in love with it and wanted to move out there forever.
Yep. I still want to live out in Arizona, man.
Terry says we're absolutely allowed to retire in Phoenix.
Beautiful.
So,
beautiful.
One day. I'd love to move back there one day. And then started, as soon as that open house was done, I started counting the days until graduation and then promptly moved out there and did that whole thing.
Yep.
And then came back and took the Northridge job, and there we are.
See, that was the cool thing for you, too. And when I went, I was, I just turned 27 when I started there. And most of the cats that were there with me were younger. And I thought, man, if I knew about this place when I was in high school, how much, more dangerous I'd be, Now, oh my gosh. So yeah, you were, it was good on you to have made that decision ahead of time to right out of high school. And did you take the summer off, or did you go right to Crass after?
No, I did take the summer off. So I stayed on like a traditional schedule. So I took, and I went there in September.
Sweet. Right on. And it's a short program. See, Crass, I'm shilling for you.
Yep.
Where's my check?
Actually, my parents don't know this yet, and this should be aired after it happens. They're because they have the gold record program too.
Yeah.
Where if you get a gold record as a graduate, your first, at least if you get more, good on you. But your first gold record as a crafts grad, they will buy 2 copies. The school will.
Right.
The school will buy a copy for you, and the school will buy a copy to hang on their wall.
That's dope.
So I just got a shipment notification yesterday that they are hanging one, and they're sending another one to me, which I'm going to give to my parents to hang on their wall.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So what would you say then was, and I had a few of them. There were a few that I had where I said this, and this were worth the price of admission alone. But what was your biggest, if not, or one of your biggest aha moments at Crass when you went?
You might laugh.
No, I won't, because it probably happened to either me or someone I know, so it's okay.
The first day that Keith Morris showed us parallel compression,
Okay.
changed everything.
Yep.
Because I remember I was sitting at my apartment, and at the time I was actually mixing the Pangea record, which was a bunch of us friends from high school that were making a prog rock thing.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get the drums right, and obviously learning at that time a lot of mixing knowledge from you, especially how to do drums and how to get drums right. I couldn't get the drums right, and then I came home that day and tried a parallel compression setup on an aux bus with the drums. I was like, this is what I've been missing.
Yeah.
This is the missing piece. Looking back on it now, I would say the SMART training.
Okay.
Again with Keith.
Yeah.
Pretty much the entire Keith Morris classes were worth the price of admission
Sure.
for me.
Okay. Right on.
I have nothing but amazing things to say about that guy.
He's a great dude.
He really is.
He's a great dude.
He is. The Smart Live training, just learning, and really even in a studio setup. Phase is something that is universal to audio. So learning how to work with Smart and work with Phase and setting up not just PA systems for live sound, but aligning studio monitors. And those classes where Keith were, that's something that I use every single time I go to mix any audio, no matter what chair I'm sitting in.
Right on. Okay, so you smart the room out every time, and
yeah, I've had probably 4 different personal little mixing stations.
Okay.
Since Crass. And every single one of them, I've pulled out my interface and my measurement mic and my smart software and aligned the room and figured out where the best spot in the room is.
And again, this is just, whatever, but I'm safe in assuming you do that when you're touring too?
Yeah, every single day we get to a new venue, I've got a measurement mic at front of house, and I've got my laptop with Smart next to me at front of house the whole night, not only acting as an SPL meter for dBs, but also just showing me... I have it set up in, 2, you're looking at 2 different screens. I'm looking at the magnitude display for the sum of the console plus the room to see what the PA in the room are actually doing to the signals, see if there's any, issues that are jumping out. And then just a regular old RTA, if feedback jumps out, I can quickly identify the exact frequency without thinking about it. I can also, ear fatigue is a real thing on tour.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's a thing. It's a thing in here. Jeez, I was working
absolutely.
all day on Sunday, and yesterday morning I woke up like, all right.
Yeah. And so the RTA display helps me keep my ears in check and make sure that I'm, what I'm hearing is truly what the audience is hearing.
What SPL are you running at generally?
Our show has actually gotten louder since I started. I typically shoot for over the entire average of the 75-minute show, an average of 105 dBA.
Okay, sure.
So it's a bass heavy show. It's a metalcore band.
Okay,
operating in I think drop A sharp tuning.
Okay, gross.
Yeah. It is what it is.
No, it's good. It's fine. It's
so
cool. It's cool.
I think we're about 118 C weighted. It's a lot of bass.
Yeah, no kidding.
So.
No kidding. But you got big rooms for that bass to move through, so that's okay.
Absolutely.
Is that the iWatch?
That is the iWatch.
Do you like it?
I love it.
Okay.
I couldn't tour without it.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, tell me why you couldn't tour without an iWatch.
Because you saw what just happened. I just got a text.
Okay.
And I saw who the text was from without interrupting this conversation.
Sure.
And then covered my watch back up and went back to talking.
Yeah.
So on the road, when I'm pressed for time wiring a stage, doing a sound check, physically carrying a case in, and I can feel my wrist tap, look at it, and see if it's our management saying that I need to call them because there's an issue, or I can see if it's our drummer sending a stupid picture in the group chat without pulling my phone out of my pocket.
Sure, okay.
So for me, it's priceless.
Right on. Okay, because you're always hands full and hands on.
Exactly.
I can dig it.
And right now we're traveling without a monitor engineer, and I'm doing it remotely via iPad from front of house.
Gotcha.
And our guitar tech can text me during the show and say, hey, Brian needs his vocal up.
Okay.
And I can just look at my wrist at front of house and see what they need without taking my hands off the desk.
So, okay, just for the uninitiated, okay, every day on tour is essentially the same. Yeah, you're in a different city and whatnot, but, the roles are the same.
Yep.
Take us from you wake up to you go to bed. What does your day look like?
That's the second time I've done this today.
Second time you've done this today?
Yes.
Who asked you earlier?
We had a big group roundtable meeting.
Okay.
Just because we're hiring another crew member and we're restructuring job roles and responsibilities and trying to figure out, make sure everyone is doing their fair share and
right people in the right seats.
Yeah, exactly. Making sure that everyone's playing to their strengths. So
okay.
This is the second time today I've done this.
Sweet.
But that's okay.
Good.
I've
so
got
you're
it
rehearsed.
Polished. Exactly.
All
I'm
right.
rehearsed. So first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is I eat breakfast.
Okay.
You have to.
Okay. Why do you have to?
Because if you don't eat, and it's not always breakfast food, sometimes it's lunch food, depends what time it is. If you don't eat before you get off the tour bus, or at least for me in my job, I don't have time to. Once I step off that bus, I don't stop moving. And really, I don't stop moving until I get back in my bunk that night.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a very long and grueling day. Obviously, it's worth it and it's rewarding. But you got to eat before you get off the bus.
Okay.
From there, usually the first thing I do is I walk through the venue. Before we unload any gear inside, I go in and I walk around and I figure out where we're going to physically place things each day. And I look for any glaring issues. Like if I walk in and I think the PA looks too small, I'll go to the house desk and plug my phone in and turn on some music and walk around and listen to the system and make sure that it is up to standard. Because I would rather find out at 11 a.m. that it sucks than 4 p.m.
And when you blow it. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so what do you do if it's substandard? Like
if it is substandard, and I had to do that twice on the last North American tour back in February. I make some very awkward phone calls, and I've only once successfully done this. Playing the power card, where you say if you don't go get more PA, we won't play the show.
Right.
So it was, and that was a case of just they had some blown subs where
Sure.
I think 1 out of their 6 18-inch subs were actually working. So
right on.
yeah.
Okay.
And so we walk around, we make sure everything is up to par, and then we load in the absurd amount of gear that we usually carry around.
And you're helping load.
Yeah.
Right.
Right now I am.
That's cool.
Hoping that changes.
Right?
Probably won't. No, that's the cool thing about the I Prevail camp is that we're all, none of us are white glovers.
Sure.
The band doesn't help load, but the crew does.
Sure.
Everyone on the crew helps load, which is cool. We load in, we set up. My responsibilities, I'm setting up all the audio. I'm wiring the stage. I'm scanning the wireless packs. We carry 14 wireless between instruments and vocals and in-ears.
Oh, wow.
So I'm coordinating 14 wireless frequencies every day, which is usually fine unless we're in Houston.
Why? What's with Houston?
Houston's got a lot of interference.
Nasty RF?
Oh, yeah. Houston.
Okay.
Houston is the worst city in the country for RF by far.
Okay.
Absolutely. Except they fixed it the last time I was in Baltimore, but prior to that, the biggest venue that everyone plays in Baltimore, Rams Head Live, you may have heard of it.
I've heard of it, yeah.
Is directly next door to an FBI substation.
Sweet.
So up until about a year ago, you could hardly use wireless in there without interference, but they fixed it now, and it's quite nice.
Right on.
Yeah. So I set up everything, scan the wireless, go and tune the PA. Right now we're carrying a front of house package that lets me do virtual sound check.
Virtual sound check.
Yeah.
Clue me in. I'm not.
Sure. So I've got enough boxes and toys at front of house to where I'm live multi-tracking every show.
Wow.
And
You going to do anything with that?
it's up to the band.
Right.
I mean, I do throw 2 to 4 crowd mics up every night, depending on how big the room is, just in case
Take
they
the
ever
best performances from a certain tour,
just in
package
case they
together.
ever want to. Yeah.
Sweet.
Our drummer's done some like YouTube playthrough videos, and he's asked, I think we've paired the live audio with that. Take the audio from that show and pair it with the video.
So you just play back what you tracked the night
Yeah,
before or whatever?
exactly.
And you just-
I'm able to multi-track play back through the console the same way I multi-track recorded it.
Sure.
Right now we're carrying a Midas Pro 2, which actually has 2 physical sets of inputs, normal inputs and tape returns,
Right.
which is awesome. So I can just hit the tape return button and flip everything over
Mm-hmm.
and play back from Pro Tools into the console and, adjust the room as if the band were on stage.
Wow.
Which is an incredible tool to have.
Mm-hmm.
Because the band, vocalists in particular, don't really sound check very much. They like to save their voices, which
Sure.
I totally understand.
Yeah.
It's very demanding music, and especially the ranges,
Screaming and all that shit.
the screaming, the ranges that they're singing in when they're not screaming, it's up there for them. So
Sure.
I totally respect that they don't like to sound check, and they don't need to with the technology that we have.
Sure.
So that's why we spent the money that we did.
Mm-hmm.
So, virtual sound check. The band will come on stage and do a couple songs live, usually just instrumentally. And then from there, lately, my role has evolved in a growing band. We're in a situation where we've got bigger support bands. And like this next tour, we're taking out Starset. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Nope.
They're a...
Sorry.
It's okay.
I don't listen to music, Josh.
Yeah,
We're going to get
okay.
to that, too.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
They're an up-and-coming radio rock band right now.
Okay.
So, like, for instance, on this next tour, I'll be stage managing after our sound check is done, overseeing their setup and their sound check, making sure they're not louder than us.
Yeah.
And making sure they're not taking up too much space on stage, and making sure that they're not using any sort of, lasers or anything that makes them look cooler than us.
Right. That's
So-
something that when I was out with Coffin Cats and we were doing the tour with Reverend Horton Heat, there were certain like tricks that they would do that Vic was like, hey, on these shows, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that, because we're not going to try to
Yeah.
steal their thunder. It's like,
Exactly,
okay.
exactly. So,
Yeah, I feel it.
as a stage manager, I'm responsible for making sure that we're not upstaged in any way.
Right.
So that occupies my life post our sound check until our showtime.
Interesting.
I'll go run off and get food or
Yeah,
find the local barbecue joint usually.
Right. I'm going to get to that, too.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah,
Or Mexican. Sometimes it's Mexican.
Right. So and then you're running sound for the show, and
Yeah.
then after the show, they're mingling and merching, and you're tearing down.
Yeah. Well, they're not mingling and merching. They're back on the bus, but
Oh, good on them.
yeah, right.
Oh, okay.
I'm tearing down, and I actually still handle all the money, even though I'm not the tour manager anymore. I totally respect. I've been with them since day one. I'm their,
They trust you.
They trust me. I'm their guy, and for whatever reason, probably thanks to Mom's upbringing, she used to work in accounting.
Okay,
She-
yeah, sure.
She's taught me budgeting since I could talk.
Okay.
So I still handle all the money on the road. So I'm tearing down while accepting the money from playing the show.
Right. That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a trip.
And then load out, get
And
on the
then
bus.
load out, pound some Ben and Jerry's ice cream, and hit the bed and do it again the next day.
What's your Ben and Jerry flavor? Your go-to?
My go-to is one. It's a limited edition that you can only get on the East Coast.
What is it?
Because that's the fun part about touring is you get to try all the different Ben and Jerry's flavors around the country.
That's the fun part.
It is
Awesome.
It's called confetti cake,
Yeah.
which is similar to Cold Stone's cake batter.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm familiar.
I'm a sucker for a good cake batter ice cream.
That's funny, dude. Yeah, I always see you posting on social media all your check-ins at these restaurants. Have you always been a foodie?
Yeah. I don't know if I've always. I think I've always been a foodie and realized it and capitalized it on recent years.
Okay.
Both of my parents enjoy cooking,
Okay.
which has transferred to me,
Mm-hmm.
and I now enjoy cooking, and that is one of the best parts of being home, second to being with my wife.
Is being able to cook?
Yeah.
Okay.
Love it. And I mean, that was today's conflict about
Yeah.
scheduling this interview.
No one's going to be home to cook.
Right. So, Yeah, I love cooking at home, and so I love finding good food not at home.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm always on the search for what the best food around the venues is.
I have to ask, with all the food stuff and everything you post, is your health important to you? Because you're always eating at barbecue joints and Mexican joints. Like,
Yeah, no, I would be lying if I said it wasn't important to me.
Okay, good.
And it's actually
Because you've been on the road with Wilson, and I know Jason takes care of himself. Those
the Wilson dudes, for all the party reputation they have, are some of the
don't burst their bubble now. They got an image to. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
for all of the party image. They are some of the most healthy touring individuals I've ever met.
Which is great.
Yeah, I was the unhealthy one whenever I'm with them.
Okay.
They're also older than me,
Mm-hmm.
so they take care of themselves quite well. Yeah. There is been a change in what I eat on the road, even in just the last 2 years.
Yeah. What? Give me a for instance.
For instance, I'm watching red meat.
You're watching it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching it cook and then go into my face. That's what I'm doing.
I don't eat as much of it as I used to.
Gotcha.
Too much red meat in a road doesn't do anything for you.
Okay.
Anything good for you? That
Really?
is.
Okay.
For me personally,
Right on.
I've definitely started myself on a vitamin plan.
Supplements or whatever.
Yep,
Right on.
Yep.
Cool.
Makes a big difference.
Yes, it does.
I
I take a morning, evening, and right before bed.
I'm not there yet.
Right on.
I'm sure I'll get there.
Go ahead. So
No, just talking about how I don't eat as much barbecue or as much ice cream as I used to.
right, but when you do, you let us all know on
absolutely.
the Facebook.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Okay, so I hate typical interview questions, but this is a good one for you. I think
Sure.
If you could, from all the places you've been on tour and all the little fun food stops that when we're in this city we got to go here. Da 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 da. If you could order food right now from 3 hidden gems across the country and have it be delivered within the next 30 minutes, what would you order and from where?
I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask for an order of ribs from Oklahoma Joe's in Kansas City.
Oklahoma Joe's in Kansas City. Okay.
Yes. One of the most famous barbecue joints in the country.
Okay. I've not been. I've been to.
Actually, I think it's just called Joe's now.
Where were we? We went to somewhere in Kansas City for barbecue, and we walk in, and everyone goes, "Hi, may I help you? Hi, may I help you?" Like at the top of their lungs to anyone that comes up to the counter, and I just couldn't. I was like,
Yeah, I've only been to 2 barbecue places in Kansas City, which is a city that's known for barbecue.
Yeah,
and mostly because I researched where I wanted to go. And
sure.
So I get ribs from there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I've got to get. I'm trying to think of where some of the best Mexican I've had is, because those are really my 2 big favorites.
Barbecue and Mexican.
Oh, absolutely, barbecue and Mexican all the way.
Ran right through me. I can't do it.
I think some of the best Mexican I've had. It's definitely in California.
Okay.
West Coast tacos.
Breakfast burritos in California are phenomenal. I love breakfast burritos.
So are the non-breakfast. There's a okay. So this is why I check in.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of it.
Okay.
But the next time I'm in San Diego, I can go back and see where I checked in San Diego and remember what that place is called and go and get their chorizo tacos.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Although it is worth noting that possibly the second best tacos I've ever had is in Ann Arbor.
Where?
It's a place called Chella's. It's on the west side of town.
Chella's. I've heard of it. Yeah.
If you're ever in Ann Arbor and you want good Mexican, go to Chella's and get the campechana tacos.
Campechana tacos?
Yes, it is chopped chorizo sausage and carne asada steak that is all chopped up and kind of mixed together and cooked together on the grill.
I like it.
Incredible.
See, I like Las Palapas. It's right down the road.
That is amazing Mexican food.
Yeah.
That is my second favorite Mexican place in Michigan.
It's so good. It's
Yes.
such a good joint. All right, so...
Okay, so Kansas City, Oklahoma Joe's,
ribs.
some random taco place in San Diego.
Chorizo tacos. Okay.
And I feel like we got to do a good burger.
Mm-hmm. Sam's Burger Joint in San Antonio was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been to that one. There was honestly, the burger that sticks out, and again, I can't remember the name of it, and that's where Facebook comes in. There's a burger joint in downtown Lawrence, Kansas.
Okay, I've been to Lawrence. Yeah, right on.
Yeah. So
Sweet.
Two out of those three places are in very close proximity to each other.
Yeah, no kid. Yeah. Kansas and Kansas City. Yeah, right
so
on. Man.
Kansas City is where the best food is.
I like it.
Honorable fourth mention would be the pulled pork from Mac's Speed Shop in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Mac's Speed Shop.
Best. So that would be my overall. Like if I could only have one barbecue place in the entire world, and you know what barbecue means to me.
Yes, I do.
Mac's Speed Shop, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Shout out! Look at that. I like it. What, from your perspective, how has the landscape changed since you first started audio engineering? Whether as a musician or engineer, or as a live act, how do you see the landscape in audio engineering and music production shifting? Whether positively or negatively. I don't know if this could be a positive or a negative, and I'll get to that. What I see is higher levels of technology becoming more affordable and more accessible. Sure, it's been happening for the past couple decades. But now it's to where almost anyone can do it with it. I just read an article about some cat that's producing stuff with his iPhone. Like he goes to a major multi-million-dollar studio to work with an artist. And rather than work on a console or do anything, he takes his guitar and plugs it into his Thunderbolt adapter for his phone, and he would prefer to just do everything in GarageBand on his phone.
Well, what is it? Is I think what Kendrick Lamar's new album just came out?
Yep. And that's the guy. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
The lead single off that album was produced 100% on an iPhone.
It's insane, dude.
Yeah.
Humble? That single? Holy shit! I didn't know that.
I don't know which song it is. I haven't heard the album.
I need to spend some time in here alone and listen to that album from front to back, because Kendrick is the truth. His stuff is so good, dude.
Yeah.
Okay. So becoming more affordable and everything and you say you don't know if it's a good or a bad thing.
Yeah,
I'm with you there. I say often the best thing about the internet is that it leveled the playing field for everyone. But the worst thing about the internet is that it leveled the playing field for everyone.
Yep.
And so there's a lot more noise out there, and it's tougher for the signal to cut through. But
exactly.
This whole real
there's more signal to cut through,
more noise to cut.
Yeah,
through.
more noise to cut through to find the signal. But
yeah. But the thing is I said it before, I'll say it again. Millennials don't have ADD. They have incredible shit detectors. Okay? Bob Lefsetz said that. And he's right, because when you've grown up with the internet your whole life, you have instant access to all the greatest film, literature, art, poetry, music, everything since time immemorial. And it's just at the click of a button or click of a mouse or touch of a finger. So when you have access to the greatest and you grow up hearing the greatest all the time, and you have examples of greatness coming at you, from all angles, when something isn't great, you're not going to pay attention to it because it's not great. And so that's why, when you talk about like a meteoric rise that's going on with I Prevail, how did their signal cut through the noise? What made them stand apart from the rest? And because that is what takes you to the next level. It's okay. How many American metalcore bands are there from Detroit?
Oh,
probably a lot.
So many.
Okay,
too many to count.
And even beyond Detroit, all over the country and all over the world, we're all connected. Anyway. But what set them apart was it? And pardon me, I forget the singer's name that you're saying. What's that?
Brian.
Ryan. Brian with a B. Brian. So. Is it Brian's analytical mind and his marketing, savvy? Is it
part of it?
Okay. Are they writing better songs that resonate more with the current culture? Is it that they have honed their live show? Did they just come out of the gate being I Prevail, or was it, hey, we learned this and so we applied this? You said there was 2 years of back end work prior to you joining before they hit.
I think for them specifically, it was having a very solid product.
Okay,
right off the gate, combined with some very clever, successful marketing strategies.
Okay, from Brian?
I'm pretty sure today he does the majority of the marketing strategy. So I'm pretty sure.
How old is this guy?
He's my age.
Okay.
Yeah, we're a month
25?
apart. 23.
Fuck you. Oh, you're so young.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Good for you.
In a couple of days, it'll be 24.
In a couple days?
Sorry, a couple of weeks. Yeah, a couple of weeks.
What are you? May what?
14.
You're May 14th?
Yeah, we're very close. Yeah, we're a couple days.
That's right. May 11th.
Yep.
Right on. You can't get your insurance discounted until next year.
Yeah.
Call. I'm telling you, on the day of your birthday, call your insurance company. Hey, I just turned 25.
Yeah.
I need that break. Okay, so but with the changing landscape, technology making things, but anyone and everyone can be in a band or try to sound like this artist or that artist, and I feel like a lot of people try to copycat what's already been successful. But the thing is
absolutely,
that's already been successful. People want that new. They want something different. You know, if you don't come too far out of left field. Yeah. But, you know, something familiar enough to where it resonates, but they want that uniqueness. They want that authenticity. And
absolutely.
So, yeah, okay. Right on. Up to now, I guess, what would you say is the most important thing that being an audio engineer, being a live front of house engineer, touring, what is the most important thing that it's taught you?
Oh gosh, so many. Off the top of my head, I would say it would be to just to not take any. Well, audio specifically or touring. Just
your experience working in the field that you work in. Because you learn something different being a banker than you do being an audio engineer.
Yeah,
there's a different takeaway from everything. I think.
I would say, top two things together.
Sure.
Would be number one is a sense of humility.
Okay.
Because I had a lot of people tell me that before I went on tour around here, everyone told me, "Oh, you're the best sound guy we've ever had. You know, you're the best you've ever made this room sound." I got that a lot, and then you go on tour, and you know, it's like the local guitar prodigy going to Berkeley for college.
Sure.
You know, here I was, one of the larger fish in a smaller pond. All of a sudden, you're traveling the world doing this. You find out you're a very small fish in a very, very large pond.
Right.
So there's a great sense of humility and, wow, I still have a lot more to learn. And doing this opens up a lot of doors. If you play your cards right, doing this, which is what I'm working on right now, can potentially open up a lot of doors to become a bigger fish in a bigger pond. You know, there's a lot of doors that have opened for me and are still opening to work with people that know a lot more about audio engineering than I do to help teach me and help learn those things. 2 years ago, I never had the opportunity to mix in front of 15,000 people at a main stage festival. You know, today I have that opportunity.
Sure.
And that's a really cool thing. And I don't take that for granted, which is point number two. You know, sense of humility, and number two, don't take anything for granted. I've gotten to see some amazing places in the world. I've gotten to see more of the world than the average person will ever get to see. You know, I think I'm at 48 states right now out of the 50, and a whole number of countries and like 6 Canadian provinces, if there are that many. I don't know.
Sure.
Don't take any of that for granted.
Have you been to Europe yet?
Not touring,
right.
Just for vacation.
Okay, right on.
So, but that'll change.
That's right.
Soon.
You honeymooned in Europe, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but that'll be changing very soon.
It's funny you say humility. You said your two things were sense of humility and not taking it for granted. Mm-hmm. Those I asked Jimbo, the bassist of Reverend Horton Heat, a question that I'm going to ask you in a bit. He didn't necessarily answer it the way that I was hoping for, but his words to me were, I thought about that question you asked me, and I said, okay, what did you come up with? He said, be humble. Don't take this shit for granted. Those are literally right back to back. So it's kind of funny that you say that. So speaking of questions that I asked other people,
sure.
I have a series of questions that I ask everyone.
Okay.
And we've now entered that portion.
Sure.
So first things first, how often do you talk to yourself?
All the time.
Out loud? In the mirror?
Not so much out loud, no.
Just in your head?
Yeah.
Right on. Okay. What do you tell yourself when you screw up? And do you punish yourself when you screw up?
Usually it's a series of words that I don't want to say on this mic right now.
Mom might be listening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. When I screw up, it's an intense feeling of man, I wish I could go back and relive that moment, but you can't. So you have to figure out why it happened and do something to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Okay. Being proactive.
Yeah.
Right on. How often, I'm sorry, not how often, what do you tell yourself when you do well? And do you reward yourself when you do well?
You know, probably not as well as I do, but audio is a thankless job. It's unnoticed until it goes wrong.
Yeah, right.
So my reward at the end of a good day is usually a pint of Ben and Jerry's ice cream.
Okay, right on.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I'll leave it at that.
That's cool. How do you relax?
Sleeping.
That's it?
No, I mean any touring guy will tell you what are you doing? What do you do when you're at home? How do you spend your time off? We sleep.
Really?
Our schedule is so intense on the road that I come home, and which right now, being home, I'm actually not. I'm keeping myself on my tour sleep schedule, which is 6 to 7 hours a night.
Yeah, because you go back out again in a couple weeks. Right?
Yeah, when we have more than a couple weeks off, I'm able to fully decompress and sleep for 10 to 12 hours a night to let my body catch up, which is amazing.
Wow.
But to relax, I like to cook. Like I said, cooking is a huge thing, and soon that will be smoking and grilling things.
Right on. Getting yourself a smoker or something, or
I have one.
Right on.
Yep. I dabble in driving fast cars for fun.
Okay.
I have a manual car for fun.
Yeah.
That has a turbocharger.
I have a stick. My stick's a turbo.
Of course it is.
Okay, good. This is great.
So, yeah. And lately I've been playing a bit of Xbox.
Okay.
Just to kind of take all of the. I'm used to having such a packed schedule that my body always has to be doing something. What's next?
Yeah.
Load in, sound check, show. Let's go.
Right.
And so for me, first-person shooters are a good way to redirect that energy.
Dude, it's so...
Yeah.
God. So all I play is Call of Duty Black Ops 3.
Yeah.
That's all I do. I just play my Call of Duty, and when I did sales management, I used to play Quake 3 Arena, and I would name all the characters my sales guys, and I would take out my stuff. Anyway,
Nice.
That's funny. Driving turbo manual cars and playing first-person shooters. We're the same damn person.
Always have been.
Who would you say is the most influential person in your life?
Right now?
Just in your life. Yeah.
I
know you're still young, so this answer could change,
Oh, for sure.
over time. But
I would have to say Josh Eisenhart.
that's the guy of Kensington.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was the one that instilled the vision first thing in me.
Okay.
He has also been Terry and I's marriage counselor, like before we got married and still now to this day.
So now, to that point, you said you started at a Catholic school. Is she Catholic?
No.
Okay, but neither of you are Catholic.
No.
But you started with a marriage counselor before going into marriage, and then
Yes.
since being in marriage, going to counseling.
Yeah, and it's not because there's problems.
No, I'm not assuming that at all.
Yeah. Well, I want to make sure everyone knows.
Yeah.
that.
Everything's fine in Sobeck land.
Yes. It really is. Lately, it's mostly because I travel for a living without her, and just having an open dialogue and an honest place where we can talk about that and work through what that looks like.
Sure.
Before marriage, just because we wanted this to last forever, like everyone does.
Yeah.
And we said, well, hey, let's go find someone that has a really good model marriage, not a perfect marriage, someone that's had issues and has worked through them.
Sure.
And so we thought, because we're already so close to him for so many years, it would just make sense to
That's awesome.
have those conversations with him.
That's awesome. I think that beyond even couples, I think most people could benefit from seeing a therapist, seeing a counselor, and just
Absolutely.
having someone objective, unbiased to bounce
Absolutely.
things off of.
Terry has actually started doing that while I'm on the road because I'm not home every night to do that with.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
She loves it, and she's a happier person for it. I wholeheartedly agree with you.
I go every other week. I came from my appointment before this, so it's like
Nice.
2 to 3 every other Tuesday. I brought Jackie a couple times, and she's going to start going on her own. Like it's such a boon to be able to go and fully express yourself. Not that you can't with each other, but it's that there's just things you need to have talk to a stranger about.
Absolutely. Just an unbiased third party that has no emotional, baggage invested in you.
Right. What they're invested in is whatever's in your best interest, and they are clinically and professionally trained to draw that out of you.
Yep.
So, no, it's good.
Exactly. No, we agree.
Absolutely. Okay, so with Josh, though, if of all the things you've learned from Josh and all the lessons you've learned, if you had to throw them all away and only hang on to one to take with you, what would that lesson be that you learned from Josh?
Oh man, that's a tough one. He preached he still does preach every Sunday at that church. So I've heard a lot of lessons from him.
Sure.
Man, just to single out one. If he's listening to this, he's going to judge me so hard on what I say. I mean, honestly, I think that it's the whole vision first, and tied into that, the family on a mission values that
family on a mission.
Yeah, that was the motto when we launched that church campus in Shelby Township, was that it is better to do this as a family on a mission than just a group of people starting a church.
Sure.
A family is a unit that emotionally cares about each other and has, emotional investments in each other. And being on mission for something means that you are willing to lay down everything to see it through.
Sacrifice.
Right? Exactly. So family on a mission is you are a group of people emotionally invested in each other, caring about each other, on a mission that you're willing to sacrifice things for.
Awesome.
So
awesome. I like it. What makes you laugh?
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, he makes me laugh too. What makes you cry?
Leaving my wife for long periods of time.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
That's sweet. That'll get you a lot of points.
Not trying.
I know. Tell me about a time when you truly suffered, and what did you learn from it?
Oh, gosh. Let's see. I'm trying to single out one moment. I would say... Debating how personal to get.
That's cool. This is a safe space.
Yeah.
Safe space. No, I'm not going to tell anyone.
True. I also don't want to offend anyone that might be listening to it.
Fair.
I'm going to say that there was a time where the I Prevail guys almost decided to fire me.
Okay.
And it was because I made some accounting mistakes that I didn't own up to with their money.
Mm.
And they had every right to do so. And I eventually went back and just reworked all the numbers and found the error and corrected the error. But this was months later.
Mm.
It was devastating to have been a part of a group and so close with them for a while, and then I was in the wrong. To truly make a mistake that I tried to hide.
Mm. Because you hid it because you were afraid of what would happen if they found out?
Yeah, and I mean it wasn't intentionally. It's not like, oh gosh, I took money and I'm trying to cover my tracks.
Sure,
it's not that sort of thing. It was money should have been there and it wasn't there. Where did it go? And I didn't know where it go, and I was so ashamed and afraid that I had potentially lost some money.
Sure.
That I didn't, as a tour manager, didn't want to admit that.
Right.
The good news is that at the end of the day, it actually wasn't lost. It was JP at the Crowfoot forgot to give me a receipt that I paid him for something.
Justin.
So
okay,
it's Justin's fault.
Gotcha.
But no, there was a while where I felt so ashamed and so just so upset that I had let them down,
Mm-hmm.
that I had lost this records of where did this, and we're not talking about thousands of dollars. It was a relatively small amount, but in the industry,
the trust, the trust vase was broken for a minute.
Absent for a minute, it was broken, and it was the worst part of this career.
Sure,
where because I'd put all my eggs in that basket at that point,
right.
And I still have most of my eggs in that basket, but
right.
It was a point where the trust was broken, and it took a bit to repair that.
Okay.
So
what'd you learn from that experience?
To no matter what happens, just be honest. There is never anything worse about being honest than there is about trying to cover it up.
Right.
Every time, no matter what you've done, if you're honest about it, it's always going to have a better result in the end than if you try to cover it up and it gets found out later.
Right on.
Which is an elementary thing, but it's true.
Right. It's funny how that works out. What would you say is? Yeah, I know you're still young, but what would you say up to now would be the defining moment in your career? What is the moment where you look at and go, "That's where everything changed"?
It's a tough one. We've as a band, we've had a lot of really cool moments so far.
Mm-hmm.
A really big defining moment for us was our first time playing a festival in front of 15,000 people.
No, for you, not for them, for you.
That for me as well.
Okay.
That was the largest audience I'd ever mixed to.
Where was this?
That was in Council Bluffs, Iowa, at the 2015 River Riot Festival.
Okay.
It was our first time ever playing to that big of an audience,
Mm-hmm.
and it was life changing for me. For me, it was validating everything that I had kind of thought I knew all those years growing up. That's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, and that moment being surrounded by all those people in an outdoor, it was like DTE, the amphitheater. That moment was just so rewarding and validating to where it's like, I am doing what I want to do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Would you say it's also the defining moment of your personal life, or would that be a different thing? Because there's career and then there's personal.
I would say that was the defining moment of my career.
Okay. What about your personal life?
That was my wedding day.
Aw,
for sure. And
right on.
And I'm not saying that to be cute.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I got married young.
Yeah. Well, Terry and I met in third grade.
Right.
So that moment, finally, after all those years, tying that knot was amazing.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome, man. What is the biggest advice that you've received in your career, and how did you utilize that advice to go to the next level?
It's going to sound basic and monotonous, but it's true. It's the same advice that everyone gave me going, up through the music industry, and it's the same advice I give to people that, are still in high school that want to do this. The advice is don't stop. Specifically, I'll pick out one time one person said that to me. Robert Scoville.
Okay.
You're probably familiar with.
Mix engineer. He probably visited Crass or something.
He was on the founding board of Crass.
Yeah.
He wrote the live sound curriculum.
Yeah.
He's currently Tom Petty's front of house guy.
Oh, phenomenal.
So good. I'm hoping to see the show this summer.
They're coming?
Yeah, they're coming in July.
Right on, man.
Yeah, they'll be at DTE. I'm sure it's sold out already if it's not close to at
Righteous.
$170 a seat.
Holy Jesus.
Yeah. But no, Robert, I've had the pleasure of and the honor of meeting Robert a few times, just kind of picking his brain and spending some time with him, both one-on-one and in a group setting. And there was a time, I've friended him on Facebook, and there was a time where I hit a wall in my freelancing phase after I had left the Northridge job, before I found the Kensington launch thing, where I just hit a wall and I felt like I wasn't going anywhere and there was no doors opening. And so just on a whim, I reached out and I messaged him and I said, hey, I want to tour for a living and I feel like I should be advancing my career this way and it's not happening. What do I do? And his reply was really simple. It was just keep doing what you're doing. Take every opportunity you can. Always, show up early and work as hard as you can. And at the end of the day, someone will notice you. It may take a couple of years, but someone will notice you. It might take a decade, but someone, if you keep up the right work ethic and you have what it takes, someone will eventually notice you. And that's what I did. You know, I never stopped looking. And even now, still, I don't stop looking for the next opportunity. You know, I Prevail is going to take a break at some point to write their next album. And eventually I'm going to have a 6 to 7 month, maybe longer break where I'm going to have to do something.
Sure.
And I'm going to have to once again go back to the freelance market and market myself. And
Sweet.
so that advice never stops holding true. Just keep going.
Right on. I like it. Define in your way success.
For me, success is going to bed at night and being happy with how that day went. If I can go to bed at night and really truthfully, honestly, fully say that I am happy with what I just did that day, then I'm successful.
Sweet. What's next for I Prevail?
So next week we're embarking.
Today is April 18th. So.
Yes. So April 26th.
Okay.
We'll be embarking on a quick little 3.5 week North American headline tour. I mean, it's the same thing a lot of rock bands are doing right now. You know, there's all the rock fests. Welcome to Rockville, Fort Rock.
Welcome to Rockville.
Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Carolina Rebellion, Rock on the Range, all the rock fests.
They're on.
So we're playing. It's very cool. We're on the main stage at all the festivals.
Nice.
And we're doing like 10 or 12 headline shows in between those dates just to tie the festivals together.
Sure. And does the band do all their own booking in house or?
Oh no. Okay.
You guys are they on a label?
Yes. So the label is Fearless Records.
Fearless. That's a division of Victory, isn't it?
Nope.
No.
Fearless is a division of Concord Music, which is a division of Universal Music.
Oh, okay, right on.
So we're a Universal Music Group affiliate.
Sure.
And that's who does all of our publishing and all that good stuff. The booking is done through Artist Group International. Also home to artists like Linkin Park, Metallica.
Hard rock stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
They do some other stuff too.
Oh, okay.
They've got a nice wide roster. Mainly harder rock bands though.
Okay.
So they do all the booking and the worldwide, not just in the U.S.
Sure.
So
you guys are going on the 3.5 week.
3.5 week little North American run. 2 Canadian dates already sold out, which is awesome. Got a couple other dates close to selling out. And then we take a 4-day break, and then we fly over to the UK.
Sweet.
Doing a 3-date festival run in England, and then doing a headline show in London, and then flying back home, and then a 10-day break, and then Vans Warped Tour.
You on the whole Warped Tour?
The whole Warped Tour.
Sweet.
Main stage.
That's excellent, man.
Yep.
You're going to meet a lot of people. You're going to meet a lot of people and bro down with certain bands. Everyone always clicks up on that thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Have you done Warped Tour before?
I have not.
Okay.
And that is as far as we have publicly announced.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
There is some more stuff in the works for, the latter quarter of the year.
Sure.
Potentially some more world travel. Certainly some more North American travel.
Excellent.
That's about all I can say.
Fair enough. What's next for you in regard to your growth as an individual?
So I've actually been pondering this for the last 6 to 8 months, because it goes back to the thing, the big fish in the small pond.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I'm home here, everyone is calling me for audio advice. Everyone is having me come to their churches, come to their venues to make them sound better.
Come to their podcasts.
So on and so forth. I should have brought my mic. Be nicer than what you're talking into. It's okay.
That's funny.
And so I feel like I'm not growing so much, because and when I'm on the road, I Prevail is in a place where, we're selling out a lot of shows. We're playing in mid-level clubs and small theaters where we're selling it out. So we're a bigger band coming into these venues.
Sure.
So again, it's the same thing. We're the bigger fish in the smaller pond.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not running into these top level engineers that I'm able to learn from. So it's a lot of days it's me coming in. Even we played a couple Hard Rock casinos where they come in, they see my front of house rig, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I've been wanting to do that. How did you do that?" Well, you know, and when it's a lot of cases on the road if I'm showing other engineers tips and tricks for what I'm doing and how I've got my rig set up. And so what's next for me is I want to further my knowledge at a very deep technical level when it comes to systems. Because we both know that mixing is something that I love and enjoy and comes naturally.
Mm-hmm.
But technical systems knowledge, like being able to walk into the Palace in Auburn Hills and being able to say, okay, to best cover this room, we need to fly 12 boxes of D&B JRA per side with side fills here, out fills, you know, out hangs here, front fills, subs,
Sure.
the whole 9 yards, and just knowing how to actually properly optimize a PA system in a large scale. That's at least what I personally feel is the next kind of building block on my knowledge as a audio guy.
Okay. What about outside of audio engineering knowledge, just individual growth? Like what's
Sure.
I know you're only 23, so maybe you're not. I don't know if you're thinking like that yet. But you know, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Of course.
So
of course.
Yeah. So what are you doing to?
My thing would be being that I don't just do front of house, that I do production management and very very formally tour management. And who knows, I could be doing tour management again in a year for another artist when the guys are in the studio. My thing is, and this is again where Josh Eisenhart plays in. We still meet up for lunch regularly and we talk all the time.
So he's a mentor for you.
He is. He absolutely is.
Yeah.
Is people management.
Okay.
I mean, you were in sales. You've done a lot of things too. Managing people is the most difficult and most rewarding, and potentially the key to having the most success in your life. If you can correctly manage people, everything else kind of falls into place.
Right.
So being on the road, managing a road crew, that is you, and being able to communicate correctly between managing your road crew and talking to the band's management, that is what unlocks the higher paying, more lucrative A-level gigs.
Okay.
So being a good people manager,
a leader.
Yeah, absolutely. We both know audio engineers can be a dime a dozen.
Yeah, and they can be a dick a dozen too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a very long list of people that could mix I Prevail as well as I can. There's a very short list of people that could both mix them as well and manage them as well.
Sure.
Not saying that I do an amazing job managing them, but that's the goal.
That's you remaining humble.
Trying to.
Yeah. Okay. Right on. So you're trying to grow your emotional intelligence and your leadership intelligence.
Absolutely.
Right on, man. That's a good spot to be in at your age. Before I ask you the last question, where can people find you and reach you if they want to get in touch with you?
I've got my website, which is just simply joshsobeck.com.
joshsobeck.com. joshsobeck.com.
Yep.
All right.
And there's a contact form at the bottom of that.
Okay.
If they want to be a little bit more personal, they can find me on Facebook.
Okay.
And they can message me there.
Cool. You're just on Facebook, no other medias?
I am on Facebook and Instagram primarily.
Okay.
Both sites, it should just be, I don't want to say it, josh.sobeck
I don't know.
on social media.
Quick search. Will pull it
Whatever,
up.
exactly.
Just search Josh Sobeck, I Prevail. I'm sure
Then it will absolutely pop up. You can email me through the website.
Cool.
They can add me on Facebook and Instagram. I have a Twitter, but it's mainly complaining at companies of which customer service fails me.
That's funny because I did that too. That's how I got my pedal board replaced by Lufthansa.
Nice.
All right. Before I ask you the last question, I want to acknowledge you for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
I want to acknowledge you for your passion for what you do. Ever since I've known you, all you've ever wanted to do is learn more about how you can be better at what it is you're passionate about. And you talk about being humble, but even though you know enough to know what you know, you still know that there's a lot out there that you don't know. And I admire you for that.
Thank you.
Also, your even temperament. I've never seen you yell. I've never seen you shout And maybe that means I haven't been around you enough, but
Just means you've never been around me on a day with a bad venue.
sure, there you go. But even the times that you've worked with my old bands doing stuff, you've always had an even keel. You're always very calm. You're always confident. And even if you don't know what you're doing or you're unsure about what you're doing, you're focused on it and you're worried about it so that everyone else around you isn't. So I appreciate that. And your work ethic. You talked about work ethic and how that was the common bond that you and I Prevail shared. Well, you've always had that work ethic. You got a better work. When it comes to being an audio engineer, you have a much better work ethic than I do. I did not have the patience nor, quite frankly, the desire to do what you're doing. Yeah. I didn't. And it took. I'm complimenting and acknowledging you, but I'm going to tell you a story about me.
Okay.
It took me until basically when things started dissolving with Bad on Fire.
Right.
It took me until I had to go to audio school and freelance and do all this stuff and have my band fail to remember the reason that I wanted to be an audio engineer. I never wanted to be an audio engineer. I wanted to be a musician. Exactly. I went to audio engineering school so I could help make my music better for me and then make some money in the meantime. Yep. So that's why when you first walked in the studio here, you're like, oh, you got the same board. Oh, yeah, we use these. Oh, it's like, yeah, I have no need to upgrade because I only make my music. You're like, oh, you're not doing major label stuff in here. I'm like, I don't need to. I don't want to.
No, exactly.
You know, I had one of my former clients, they were going to come and do some more work with me when I first moved in here. I actually, around this time last year, and after getting everything set up the way I like it for doing what I'm doing for, making my own music, I realized that, the money that they were going to pay me is, one thing, but I don't want to tear down my setup to then set up for someone else to come in here, help make their music better for them, and then have to reset it up for me. It takes me out of my flow.
Yep.
And it's like, I'm on my path, and every time someone asks me to help them make their music better for them, I have to stop what I'm doing on my path, come over to their path, help them along their path. In the meantime, the path I was on starts going backwards.
Right.
So now it takes me twice as much effort to get that momentum back again.
That.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So guys like you are supposed to be audio engineering. I'm supposed to be making the music. I've learned this. Even though I can do both, I need to be doing the other.
Well, also because I learned the same thing in the other way.
Okay.
Because I can play guitar.
Right.
And I can play bass.
Right.
But
keys.
Not so much anymore.
Right. But
hopefully that'll change with the piano in the house. But that's for fun.
Okay.
Just like you would come and mix a show for fun.
Yeah, I would. I think about that from time to time too. Like I see, I'm not going to name names, but I see certain shows pop up with people I know that I'm like, oh, I could probably go and but I'm
like
not.
Go to the Pike Room and go to the Token and just do it just for fun.
Just for fun.
Which is what I do. It's like every now and then on a Sunday night, Kensington's got a high school youth group that meets, and every now and then I'll go and I'll play guitar just for fun.
Sure.
Yeah.
I remember when Bad on Fire was doing the creepy cheapy, and I looked up when we were playing it was either when we were playing or sound check, and I saw you, and I was like, I know we're in good hands. This is great. All right, so last question, and then we'll get out of here. What advice do you have for those listening who have a passion and want to get after it?
I mean, it's the same thing that Robert Scoville told me. If you've got a passion and you truly want to do it, and I think that's the key. You have to truly want to do it. If there's a part of you that isn't fully committed to it, then that's the part of you that will stop you from getting there. But if you've got a passion, you truly want to get after it, the key is to just keep pushing forward. You have to. It's going to suck. You're going to drive for Uber while working some job that you don't want to do. And I've been there. You have to keep going because the second you stop is the second that you'll never get there. So if you truly got a passion, you truly want to get after it, take small steps. Even, it may seem pointless, but making phone calls, sending emails, even if you don't think you'll ever get a response, just send that email, make that phone call, leave that voicemail, and just truly keep pushing. And if your work ethic shows it, one day someone will notice that, and then you'll go to the next step. And then you just keep doing the same thing, and it sucks. It takes a while. It's really hard, but if you keep after it, eventually, one day you'll get the phone call and you'll land your first job or, in your area of passion. And then from there, hopefully it'll be easier to move up.
Awesome. Very good. Guys, gals, he's young, but he's driven, and he's successful already because of his drive and because of the work ethic he's talked about and because of his passion. And if you put your nose to the grindstone and you attack your passion with the same even temperament and the same drive and commit to having a work ethic that you will outwork everyone else and rise to the top, you may have the chance to have the kind of career that Mr. Josh Sobeck is already having. So, Josh, thank you, man, for coming in here and doing this. And
thank you.
The next time we hang out, hopefully I'm putting some of the food that you cook in my mouth. That would be pretty awesome.
I think we can arrange that.
All right, brother. Thanks again. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Josh Sobeck. And if you did, please share this episode across your social media platforms. Word of mouth is huge. I'd also love to hear about what resonates with you, so please send an email to getafterit@therealjohnk.com and tell me what you liked, or tell me what you didn't like. Feedback is the breakfast of champions, and breakfast is the most important meal of the morning. Thanks to all of you who have subscribed to the podcast on iTunes, and feel free to rate the podcast, even if you didn't like it for whatever reason. The next episode of Get After It will feature Sean May, renowned luthier and owner of the critically acclaimed May Custom Basses. Buddy of mine that I've known for a while, and he carved out a bit of time to spend talking about his life and his journey. Until then, you get after it.